Good evening and welcome. This is English Talks. Tonight we have with us Ms. Bhumika Anand. She runs a writer's workshop in Bangalore and naturally herself is quite an accomplished writer. Her fiction has been published in Urban Confessions, The Fair, the Bombay Literary Magazine, Out of Print, Queer Ink. She has also been interviewed and featured in the Delphi Quarterly, the New Indian Express, Time Out Bangalore, Women's Web, the Times of India, DNA, Bangalore Founders, and Bangalore Mirror. Welcome, Bhumika. We are very delighted to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, Jyoti, for that lovely introduction. Hello, listeners.
Well, we'll start the interview with obviously, what is it that inspired you to start this writer's workshop? And how has the journey been since its founding in 2011?
I started my career as a trainer. I started teaching English as a second language to foreign students. Then I also worked as a corporate trainer and a lecturer, etc. So teaching and training was something I knew I would eventually always get back to. And so I was working on how to go about starting my own school that would deal with some aspect of communication or English or even maybe personality development, etc. Around that time is when I reconnected through Facebook with a college mate of mine called Ria Mukherjee, who was in San Francisco at the time, and she was working on her master's in creative writing. We started exchanging stories, and she moved back to India. And we had this conversation, and she said, I want to do this. And I said, yeah, this is my plan. And so we just accidentally started it, as it were. And within a month, because of all my background research and having things in place to an extent, we were ready and we launched within a month. And we didn't expect to do well at all, but here we are. And I have continued running writing workshops since then.
Bhumika, what do you think are some of the key challenges that aspiring writers face today? And how does your workshop help them overcome these?
I think for a lot of aspiring writers, the sense of is my writing good enough? Will it interest somebody who doesn't know me as well? Will I be able to publish? How do people really think about what I write? These are some of the questions that people who start writing initially grapple with. And I think joining a workshop helps in that because you get peers who will critique your writing, which is very different from, say, when you're writing and then you post something on social media or on your blogging platform, and people read it and say, oh my God, you write so well, you should be a published writer, which is all very nice. But it's not very helpful because this is the best that I could do. How do I improve this? What do I do next? You don't have a sense of direction or purpose like that. And I think joining writing program will help aspiring writers address that. And I think that's why we do the work that we do.
Can you walk us through a typical session or process at your workshop? What can a first time participant expect?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, firstly, they will have to send us an online application with a sample of their writing. They're evaluated based on this application, based on parameters like their creativity, language ability, etc. Then, when they join the workshop, there are three tenets to the course: reading, writing, and critiquing. So, they will have to read something from the course book each workshop, and which will be discussed in the workshop that week. Then they would have submitted their writing as well, which would be peer reviewed, and the facilitator will also share his or her insights. And then during the whole process, they're critiquing literature, right, and literary work from the perspective of what works, why is this craft, and what are the elements of, say, scene building or characterization that I understand from this particular text. And that's really how learning happens. It's very, very interactive. It's quite intensive, the program, actually. So there is quite a lot of work that goes into a typical session, and it's entirely discussion based. And It's all about people's opinions, understanding human nature better, understanding history, understanding how current affairs shape things, all of that sort of stuff. So everything comes in as part of the discussion during a class.
Sounds very interesting, really. Which success stories or transformations by past participants stand out most to you?
So we've had about 700 plus students pass through the program. Personally, I think the biggest success story is, of course, people change the way they look at the world. I think that's the purpose of literature, if you ask me. And I feel that doing a deep dive into literature, into writing, into understanding human behavior better, into understanding ourselves better, that's one of the greatest changes that happen with students. And it really, I'm very chuffed when that happens. So that's really my biggest, I would say, joy. But of course, in terms of other successes, we've had a lot of authors go on to publish their books. They've become best-selling authors. We've had people submit to literary magazines, win competitions. We're so community intensive. We've also had people start different kinds of partnerships, which probably don't have much to do with writing, but this is where they met and then they decided they could become business partners. We've also had people meet each other, get married, have children, etc. So I think all of these for me, in some sense, is a good feeling, and it is a sense of being victorious about what we're doing, and it helps me believe that this is worth pursuing still. After all these years, I still feel like I am onto the right path and I'm doing the right things.
And how have you adapted to changes in storytelling trends, digital writing, or the impact of social media?
I think the biggest change that happened was during COVID when we had to move everything that we were doing in an offline manner immediately to online. But I think the course structure and the process was so tight and rigorous by then already that it was a fairly seamless transition. That was one of the few nice things that COVID enabled us to do. So we've been online. Now we also have offline batches. So having that kind of setup has been helpful. What about storytelling trends? I always tell students that, when it comes to writing, try not to pursue trends. I mean, if you're interested in a particular trend that's going around, say writing mythology or say writing vampire romances, and if that is something that you yourself are deeply interested in, then yes, you should pursue it. But pursuing a trend just for the heck of a trend is not something that I would really recommend. And I don't think that would work out either. So it's not really been a challenge. It's just it does come up in topics when we are discussing in the workshop, but it's not been an issue or a challenge really. AI has been something that has made us think a lot about how we use our writing, how we use AI in our writing. So I think everyone, publishers, editors, everywhere are agreed that if we're going to check stuff on AI for either grammar or reading or writing, etc., then that will show up as like AI produced. So we tell people that this is what is happening. So maybe you want to be careful about using AI. So that's one thing. But then using AI to do research on a topic and all of that is definitely something we encourage because it's an easier way to get results. And I also don't think that participants who pay the amount that they do to join these workshops and the fact that they have signed on to a fairly intensive program in the middle of their work lives and careers and families, etc. I don't think these are people who are going to come to us and then, share AI stories. So that really hasn't been happening. But this is how we've been negotiating AI. Social media is, of course, inescapable. I think we're all agreed that, even competitions, when they are announced, they're mostly announced on social media. So, not being on social media can be disadvantageous. That's really what it has been. Like, I think social media is inescapable. So, we're all on it. And this is how we sell books. This is how we talk about the writing that we do. This is how we talk about our writing practices or processes or philosophies. So, yeah, that really becomes something we can't avoid.
Are there any specific achievements or milestones that you feel specially proud of?
There has been a lot of thought that has gone into the structure of the modules, in the way the discussions are facilitated, in the kind of encouragement and support we provide to our students. So, all of that really creates the space that is transformative, as they say, or safe, as they say, because every viewpoint is supported. It's really a place of learning, it's really a place of understanding people better, understanding oneself better, and facilitating that creativity and insisting on a particular way in which communication should happen, which is with respect and from a sense of learning. I think that is something I'm personally very proud of. I think I really like how we do that as a community. Our communities also has grown and multiplied. We have various other communities now. For instance, we do the short fiction community at Atagalata. So once every month we discuss a short story. So it's like a book club, but for short story. And for 3 hours, we discuss a short story, a lot of the nitty gritties of the craft, the themes, the concepts, why has the author written the story, all kinds of things go into that discussion. And that's open for the general public. Anybody who's interested in reading can join us for that. So I think, and that's become a self-sustaining community now. So I think I'm really happy about that. We also have the midweek play reading and appreciation community that we started sometime last year, where in the middle of the week we go back and read the playwrights of the world. We started with Shakespeare, Hamlet, and then we did Sophocles, and then we've done Arthur Miller, we did Tennessee Williams, we did Kalidasa. So we go through all the various playwrights who have shaped literature and world history. And then we discuss characterization, we discuss plot lines, we discuss how something is being said and how people behave and all of that. So creating that community has again something that I feel very proud about, that we continue to do this, and the fact that there are people who are interested in these sort of things in the world today. I think it's very important that people are interested in literature. So that's been nice. Of course, as a school, it is great that most of our alumni are published authors or take their writing seriously and have won competitions or have their own bestsellers or are coming up with book deals, etc., etc. So all of that is good. Then when we turned 10 in 2023, we launched a book called the BWW Bangalore Anthology with about 30 of our writers writing short stories and personal essays as a tribute to Bangalore, the space that has enabled us to create this. So that was good to be able to publish that. Earlier this year, we also published the BWW Book of Emerging Poets with about 31 poets and 116 poems to commemorate the fact that we've had 10 years of poetry workshops. So I think these are things that give me a great deal of satisfaction. I really like showcasing the work of my students to the world, and by publishing, it gives me an opportunity to do exactly that. So that makes me really happy. I know I have really strong and stellar writers in the community. So it's nice that I'm able to showcase that. Also, as of last year, we started the BWW Short Fiction Award at the Bangalore Lit Fest to encourage up and coming short fiction writers. And I hope that is something that we can sustain over the years and keep it going. So that is again something that I'm very happy and proud about.
And what are your future plans? Thank you so much, Bhumika. It was very pleasant talking to you tonight. It was a great opportunity to get a peep into the mind of a writer, a teacher. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Jyoti. This has been a great opportunity, and I really hope our listeners also got something out of this. Thank you. Bye.
This program was brought to you by Akashvani, Bengaluru.